Get ready to live fearlessly free with Heather Bunch.
Do you constantly bounce between ideas, trying to figure out the right move before you get started? Have you ever gotten stuck in the loop of research, planning, I'm just waiting for clarity, but you never actually feel ready to act? Anybody else been there besides me? Are you afraid of making wrong decisions, so you end up making none? What if I told you clarity doesn't create courage? Courage actually creates clarity. Welcome to Live Fearlessly Free. I'm your courageous coach, Heather Bunch, and I am here to help you, Christian women entrepreneurs, go from feeling stuck, not enough, and fearful to taking focused, confident, and courageous action. We are growing ourselves, my friend, to grow our businesses and make the impact that we so long for. We want to hear those words, well done, my good and faithful servant, don't we? Now, last episode, we laid the foundation for a brand new series. So we were exploring, fear doesn't just pop up randomly. It actually follows patterns. So we were looking at three major fear responses: fight, flight, and freeze, and how they can quietly take the lead over our lives and our businesses, sometimes without us even realizing it. And then I introduced something extra powerful, that God designed you and me with three brains. I know, we're not aliens. They are our centers of intelligence, and it's our head for thinking, our heart for feeling, and our gut for doing or action. And these aren't just like poetic metaphors, it just sounds pretty. It's actually a real system, and it's connected by the vagus nerve, which is actually a series of nerves, and it creates this network, this internal guidance system for us to live and move and have our being. But the problem comes when fear takes over instead of Father. Those systems, they stop communicating, and then they start reacting, and then we get into trouble. Then we make the bad decisions and do the things we shouldn't do, or not do anything at all. So last episode, I gave you an overview of the head, the heart, and the gut, and how fight, flight, and freeze show up in each of those. Now, what we're going to do over the next few episodes is we're going to focus in on one center of intelligence, one brain. And today we're going to start with the head brain. Now, this is our brilliant logic center. It's our vision casting, strategy, problem solving. But the problem comes in when fear hijacks it. Our thoughts get stuck. Our mind can start to spin and loop, and then peace gets pushed out. So we're going to expose the lies that fear tells our thinking, right? How it shows up. We're going to show how you can renew your mind so you can move forward with more clarity, more confidence, more focus, and more courage, my friend. So today's going to be for you if you are tired of your thoughts running the show and leaving you stuck. And if fear has ever told you you're not ready, or you're not smart enough, or you're not allowed to fail, I have got you covered, my friend. And if you're ready to move from overthinking to obedient action, this is your day, my friend. I love talking about this one because I'm an overthinker. I'm a procrastinator. And when it comes to the head part, I am going to research the heck out of it until I can make a decision. And a lot of times I'll not make a decision. So I'm going to bring up, there's all kind of stories I could tell you, but I want to bring up one that is more recent, and this is a life decision. Okay. Now it does affect my business. So, there is a connection there, but in life, and business, we all have different decisions, right? So I needed a car. Now, we were a one-family car. My husband does deliveries full time, and so he's gone all the time. And so he's using the car. And so my parents, they actually live 3 doors down from me. Very convenient. And my dad has extra cars. And so he's got this one older BMW SUV that I would borrow. And before that, I actually he had an old Jeep that I borrowed. Okay. And then that one sort of bit the dust. And then we moved on to the BMW. But this sucker is more than 20 years old. God love it. It's got almost 300,000 miles on it, but it was still chucking along. But we knew the last time it went through inspections, it just squeaked by. And so this round, we probably weren't going to make it. And so I knew ahead of time, all right, I need to research a car and I need to get a car. And so I had some ideas of what I wanted. And man, it is hard because I was getting a used car and there's so many options and there's, I'm trying to get it under a certain number of miles. And, I'm like, man, it would be really nice to have this and this and this. So you're looking at all the models and the trims, and I'm researching the heck, like, what does JD Power say about this one? And Consumers Report say about that one? And is it reliable? And because I keep cars till they like bite the dust. Like, that's how we keep cars in this family. We're not I know some people every 2-3 years just shell out, get a new car. And we don't do that. So I wanted to make sure I got something that, we felt was reliable. So I am just researching and I'm like, oh, then there's this one and then there's that one. And then, and I'm telling you what, I use ChatGPT all the time though. I'm like, break down this trim model. And what is JD Powertrain to say about that? And I thought I had time. Okay. So my goal was September. I've been saving money for a down payment and all that good stuff. And I thought I had till September. And because that was about the time when we were going to have to get new tags try to get new tags for the other car. Well, we just had to get some repairs done on the good old BMW. Got that fixed. I'm like, man, this is driving like a new car. This is awesome. And I'm like, I got some extra time is what I thought. Well, about a week or 2 in to the new repairs, all of a sudden, I'm on a highway and all the lights come on the dashboard. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are all dashboard lights I'm not familiar with. Like, what is EML? I have no idea. Like, it lit up like a Christmas tree. And then I could tell that it was running, but it wasn't right. And so I was within like one exit from our mechanic. So I'm like, all right, well, it's still running. I'm going to turn it around. I drove it to the mechanic because I'm like, it's still working for now. Drive it to the mechanic. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, is there any way you can look at the car? I said, the dashboard's just lit up like a Christmas tree. And they're like, well, we're not sure if we can get to it today. So I call my husband. He's going to come pick me up and cut his day short. And well, anyways, they were actually able to get to it. And come to find out, by the time they turned it on, and they put their little computer in the thing and read all the stuff, nothing was wrong with it. And the lights had reset. And, so they're like, I don't know, I guess just drive it. So I'm like, okay. So my husband follows me home. Everything seems okay. I drive it for a few more days. Everything seems fine. And then boom, out of nowhere, the lights lit up again like a Christmas tree. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you what. And I was like, okay, I am done researching and overthinking. So Tuesday rolls around and we had a date day, me and Bob, and we're at lunch and he's like, so what do you want to do? And we had dance lessons and then we had lunch and then we had the rest of the afternoon. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go test drive cars. Because up to this point, I had only been online researching. I had not put my foot in a car dealership. Okay. And so I'm like, let's do this. And there's always that fear. I don't know if you're like me, that fear of going to the car dealership and then being talked into something that you don't want, right? Wheeled and dealed to death. All right. I'm just going to say car dealers have gotten better. That's why I got to say that was my experience. They've gotten a heck of a lot better. So I didn't feel pressured. But we go to the car dealer and I try out a few cars and I'm in them and I'm like, I like this and I like that. And I'm like, and I just wasn't settled. And so I was like, then we get in this, he's like, well, I got this one. He goes, you know, it hasn't been cleaned yet. It just came in and, you know, we don't really even have any pictures online. So I'm like, well, you know, is it okay if we just go ahead and try it? And it was a Hyundai Santa Fe. And so I get in it and, you know, driving it and I'm like, okay, this is it. I like this type of car. Like in that moment, I knew out of all, I was researching, I was looking at these different ones, little compact SUVs, and I really wanted something with the third row, but then the mileage on them are too bad. So, but it was like, boom, clarity. I need this size. Those compact cars, like my dog can't even fit in the back. Like, I'm like, I might as well get a sedan. They're so tiny. So I knew in that moment I had this moment of clarity. And so, but the dollar amount was not where I wanted it to sit. And so I go home and I'm like, okay, I know I want this, but not that dollar amount. So I get back online and now I know what I'm looking for, right? So I've got more clarity and I'm researching and I find one and I'm like, ooh, this one's only a little bit more miles, but it's a higher trim model. So I even get more gadgety gadgets, right? You know, heated seats, it had ventilated seats. I know, cooling seats, people. Heated seats in the back for the kids. I'm like, hot dog. Good mileage, you know, low mileage on it. And so I set up an appointment and it's during the day. So my parents are actually going to take me because I ain't taking the BMW. I don't trust it out to, you know, because it was a bit of an extra drive to get out to this particular location. And I test drive it and I'm like, oh baby, yeah, this is it. This is the car. Like I knew in that moment. But the thing is, you know, when you're doing cars, you're going, okay, they get the dollar amounts to work, right? So where it sat with you know, I had a pre-approval. Well, they couldn't get the numbers to work, but my husband and I had a bankruptcy a couple years ago. We just came out of it. You know, we've been reestablishing our credit, all that good stuff. And because we had like chapter 13 where you have to make payments for a certain amount of time, and we actually did. We finished it out, and you know, and then it takes time to get the payment. So anyways, so he gives me a dollar amount and I was like, oh, that is way more than I want to pay, but I really love this car. Like, right? This is one. And so I start overthinking and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, and remember my husband wasn't with me and he knew I was going to be there. Okay. So this wasn't like, you know, doing something, you know, where we weren't in agreement with this. Because he was fine with like, if I felt like that was a car, then he's like, go for it. So I said, can I have a minute? And he's like, yeah, sure. So I go take the paper, talk to Bob. And so I personally was stuck in overthinking. I was frozen. I couldn't see past the dollar amount that it said, right? And then Bob on the outside looks and he says, hey, let me throw out an idea. And he threw out an idea of an extra way for me to just make the money that I needed to make up that was above what I was already wanting to pay for it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it'll totally work. And it was in that moment, there was clarity. And I was able to move forward and I walked in and went, all right, I'm taking it. And went through, got the car, and it was like I was frozen. And because I was frozen, I was in this overthinking, I couldn't see other options of how could I make this work? How could I, you know, make the extra that I would need to make in order to, you know, pay for the car so it wouldn't be a burden. And all it took was someone from the outside that had a totally different perspective, and he was able to show me, and then it was like, boom. overthinking, the fog cleared away, and I was able to move forward. Now I've got a car that I love in the garage. The kids love, Bob loves it. My parents love it. I brought my dad too, because my dad's the car dude. So it's like, he's kind of like my double check, is this okay sort of guy. But that was my brain stuck in this loop and this overthinking, and it fogged up and it literally froze. Like I couldn't see past the, oh God, that number is bigger than I wanted it to be. But when Bob, who was on the outside, who was not stuck in overthinking, was able to problem solve it in a minute. Your brain, your head brain, is powerful processor. It's created for logic, decision making, vision, strategy, problem solving, right? My brain could have problem solved what my husband did, but I was stuck in freeze mode, and so I couldn't see it. We have 86 billion plus neurons in this head. Like, this is our built-in CEO operating system. And our prefrontal cortex is like a problem-solving machine, and it helps us to navigate ideas, and it helps us to interpret our world. But the problem comes when fear hacks that brilliance, and we spin into loops, and our logic battles against one another. We get decision fatigue, just like I did in the car dealership. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm online going, I don't know what kind of car, until I actually sat it, and then boom, I know what I want. And when we get stuck in these loops, instead of dreaming and deciding and doing, we start spinning. We start second guessing ourselves, and we stall out. 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, for God has not given us a spirit of fear or spirit of timidity, but of power, love, and a sound mind, or discipline. God didn't design your mind to spin in anxiety. He designed it to walk in wisdom. Now, not just have wisdom, but walk in wisdom, because there's a doing part of that. And that's the problem when we get stuck into overthinking. A lot of times, it's got to feed the dog. I'm recording this at 2:00. That's my reminder to feed the dog. And I did actually already feed the dog. So there you go. I have another one that goes on at 3:00, by the way, because I will get distracted into something else and then need the extra reminder most of the time to go, oh, right, yeah, I'm supposed to feed the dog. All right. So, my friends, let's dig into how fight, flight, and freeze show up in our head brain, okay? Because each of us will have one that's more dominant than the other. One fear response that's more dominant than the other. My fear response tends to be freeze with some flight thrown in there. There are situations, however, where I will go into fight mode. And same for you. You will have a dominant one, but there are times when you may roll into one of the others. So let's break these down. Fight. This is like the overcontroller, okay? Think, I gotta fix this. I have to be right. Or, I need control. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. See, the amygdala, which is somewhere in the middle there, triggers this threat response in us, okay? Now, the prefrontal cortex is the part in the front. What that does is it tries to control the outcome, okay, with the logic part. This fear disguises itself as logic and responsibility. Now, for each of these fight, flight, and freeze, I want to give you a biblical example of somebody that is experiencing this in the moment. And so when I think of the overcontroller, I think of Martha. Do you remember Mary and Martha? And they were making dinner for Jesus, and Jesus is teaching, and Mary's sitting at Jesus's feet. And Martha comes along and she's like, Jesus, would you tell Mary to stop doing what she's doing and get in the kitchen and help me? This is obviously the Heather translation. You can find it in Luke 10, however, verses 38 and 42 for the actual verbiage. But that was the essence of Martha's coming in and is like, her fear said, if I don't control this, everything is going to fall apart. Dinner's not going to be right. I got to take care of Jesus, right? And Martha missed out on what Mary was experiencing as she was sitting at the feet of Jesus, because she's over in the kitchen trying to control things. She's got to make everything right. How many of you have done that? And you're in there, you're trying to control it all. You're trying to control the kids, or trying to control your husband, trying to control your clients or situations. You know, in our business, it could show up as micromanaging, right? Over-researching every decision, not trusting others, maybe even not trusting God to carry their weight. The truth is, control actually does not equal peace. You are not called to hold it all together. You are called to trust the one who does. You are called to trust the one who can bear the weight and bear the burden. That's why Scripture tells us to cast our cares on him, because he cares for us, because we cannot bear it alone. So I want you to try this. Ask before acting, okay? Ask Father. Pause. Ask Holy Spirit. All right, what do you want me to do right now? I want to go control things. I want to run and do this. I want to fix it. I want to, get in somebody's face about it and go all mama bear. But pause. And what do you want me to do right now, Holy Spirit? And then I want you to act on the peace, the answer that brings peace, and not the pressure to control it all, the pressure to fix it. Okay? So ask before acting. That's what you can do if fight is your response. Now, flight. This is our overprocessor. I will figure it out first, and then I'm going to move. Or I'm going to run away from the situation, right? Flight mode. Psalms 119, 105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So the amygdala part of our brain, and that's more of our quick response, emotional part, okay? It says, watch out. It says, run away, which is a movie quote, by the way. So if you can name that, let me know in the comments. Your prefrontal cortex, it actually responds by hoarding information. I got to know all the information first. That was me researching cars online. I got to know all the information first, right? And you're busy in your brain instead of moving your feet. So we get into this overthinking mode and over-researching and doing, but we're not doing anything with it. It was like me. I researched cars for months and months and months before I ever got my butt into a dealership. And as soon as I got my butt into the dealership and drove a couple cars, I was like, well, I know what I don't want. And I discovered what I do want. So, biblical example, my friends, Gideon. Now, Gideon, you can find the story in Judges 6 and 7. And so Gideon he felt like the least of the least, Mr. Fearful. An angel found him in a wine press. Well, he was actually treading grain, so the enemy couldn't get it. He was hiding. And the angel comes in. He's like, oh, mighty man of valor. And he gets the call to lead the people of Israel to overcome the enemies who have been oppressing them. Now, when Gideon found this out, he kept asking for signs. He's like, okay, well, let me put this fleece out. And if there's water dew on the fleece, but there's no dew on the ground, then I know it was you that told me to do that. So Gideon wakes up, there's dew on the fleece, no dew on the ground. Boom, there's his answer, right? Well, not really, because then he asks for another sign. Well, maybe if you put dew on the ground and none on the fleece, then I will know that you spoke to me. Comes out, same thing, dew all on the ground, none on the fleece. God spoke and said, hello, I've called you. But he was in flight mode, overprocessing. I'm not sure. I need proof before I can act. How many of you are like that? And you're putting your little fleeces out going, okay, Lord, if this happens, then I'll know it's you. If that happens, I'll know it's you. But what's really going on is you're afraid to act. Now, no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus, because my friends, I teach on fear because this is what I deal with on a regular basis. Okay? That's why I study it. That's why I'm in the Word about it. That's why I'm talking to God about it all the time, because I deal with it all the time, and He's helping me learn how to turn it down. In business, it could look like, we're binging all the information instead of taking action. You might be delaying launches until it feels perfect. I did this with Courageous Club. My friends, last summer, I launched Courageous Club, and I did it with I didn't have a website ready for it. All I did was text some people, and I gave them a link to pay, and I got 8 people signed up. Okay? Then I go, well, now I need to do my official launch. And so I start making my funnel, and I'm going to launch in November. Well, did I launch in November? No, because it wasn't done yet. I'm trying to make it all pretty and perfect and good and just the right story and all the right words and all the sections that, the gurus told me I needed to have a good sales page. And so I didn't end up launching until, April of 2025. I was supposed to launch in November of 2024. Why? Because I was overprocessing. I delayed my launch until I felt like it was perfect. And I finally had to go, all right, get the dang sales page done and just do the dang thing, right? And so I finally did it, and I launched it, and I cut some more ladies, right? And we're moving along, and it's like fear keeps us stuck. I could have launched twice in the amount of time if I was not stuck in flight mode. In your business, it could also look like hiding behind learning or tweaking. Oh, I got to tweak a little more before I do it. Oh, I need to learn a little more. I got to take another course. I need another download, right? No, you don't. The truth is, remember, clarity comes after courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing the dang thing anyways, even though you're afraid. And remember, God is literally lighting our next step, not the whole journey. You don't have to have the whole journey lit to be able to take the next step. So do this. If you are stuck in flight mode, set a timer. I love timers. I actually got this. This is a little Pomodoro cube. And I can just flip it, and it'll give me like 5 minutes, 25 minutes. So I can go 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, right? 10 minutes on, 50 minutes on, however you want to do it. I can set a specific time if I want. Give yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't care. Set a timer to make a decision that you've been avoiding. Let good enough be good enough. Make the decision and go do it. I went on a Tuesday and test drove the cars. By Friday, I bought a car, and it's done. It's done because I just decided to make the decision and make it happen. You can do the same, my friend. All right. Now, freeze mode. This is my go-to. It's mental shutdown. It's, I don't know, or I'll do it later. How many times have you're like, I'll make that phone call tomorrow? I've done that way too many times. I'm just going to admit it. Romans 12:2 though reminds us, and don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the will of God, what is good, acceptable, and perfect. Renew our mind. Be transformed. Freeze happens when our amygdala overrides our decision center, our prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex literally kind of dims to conserve energy, and it leaves us foggy and stalled out. That is freeze mode. It's like, I want to do the thing, I don't want to do the thing, and it's literally the push me, pull you, Dr. Doolittle llama, right? And it's stuck. It can't move forward. It can't go backwards. Like, it's just stuck. A great biblical example of this is Elijah. And you can find this in 1 Kings 19. I love Elijah, right? He did some amazing stuff. He's out on Mount Carmel. There's the prophets of Baal, and they're like, who's got the real God? And they've got the whole thing like, all right, we're going to build these altars, and whoever is God lights it with fire from heaven. That's the real God, right? And so Elijah is like making fun of them, and they're like praying all day and nothing. And then Elijah's like, throw some water on the altar, and he's like, throw some more water on the altar, and build a trench. There's literally like, it's just absolutely soaked and drenched. He prays, and boom, fire comes down, lights it up the altar. Doesn't just burn the offering, it literally burns the entire altar, just like God, like it got lasered, gone. Okay, so keep this in mind. So he goes from, he just like showed God is real, my friends. Okay, this Baal dude over here, he is not a real God, but I serve the living God, right? Then he gets threatened by Queen Jezebel, and he runs to a cave. He collapses in exhaustion. He's had enough. He's like, Lord, kill me. And his brain and his spirit were overloaded, and they shut down. Like, this is the dude on the mountain that just like called fire down. And now he's over here, kill me, Lord. He's frozen. He's in this mental shutdown, and he can't see past it, right? He's forgotten what God just did, and he's stuck. In our business, you know what I want to say, actually, before I move on? I'm going to go back to Elijah for a second. What did God do? He sent angels. Elijah needed a nap and a snack. That's what Elijah needed. He took a nap, and some angels brought him a snack, and he ate. He woke up. He felt a little better. He took another nap. He got up, and he was good. Nap and a snack sometime, my friend, is what you need when you're stuck in mental shutdown mode, okay? All right. Now, in our business, this can show up as ghosting opportunities, and you stop showing up. You sign up to go to the networking event, but you don't actually show up. Guilty. I've done it. Okay? It's the freezing in that you stare at the blank page and you can't get started. You procrastinate even the small tasks. The truth is, you are not stuck. You're just in safe mode. You're trying to stay safe. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's just taking the next step despite the fear. So I want you to do this. I want you to name it out loud. And I want you to say, you know what? I feel frozen right now. And that's okay. And I am just going to do one small thing anyways. And then go do that. Go act on that thing. That is what I want you to do if you are in freeze mode, my friend. All right, let's recap real quick. Your head brain is brilliant. It is designed by Father to process insights. It's planned strategies, partner with him in wisdom. But fear comes in and tries to corrupt our brilliance, pulls you into control, into confusion, into shutdown, okay? Fight mode says you got to fix it or else. Flight mode says figure it all out first. And freeze mode says, if I don't move, I won't mess it up. And so we don't. But you were never meant to live that way, my friend. You can renew your thoughts. You can move forward without having all the answers. Don't have to have it all figured out. You can trust Father to guide you. That's what Holy Spirit's for. And even when your mind feels loud, you can turn it down with God's truth and the way He created you, and do the actions anyways, even if you don't have it all figured out. So, courageous action. We're going to interrupt the pattern. We're going to literally do the opposite of what our fear is telling us we need to do. So, depending on which fear pattern you experience most in your head brain, I want you to choose the action that best fits you. And so I've actually given these before, but I want to recap them for you so you got them in one place. And I want you to practice one courageous step this week, okay? So if you're in fight mode, if you're the overcontroller, right? Gotta fix it, gotta plan, gotta force my way to safety, gotta control that thing, all right? If that's your response, remember, ask before acting. You're gonna pause, breathe, and pray. Remember, you have a space between the time that you have an external thing that happens to you and the time to respond. And it's in this pause that you are going to pause and pray and say, Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do right now? Then act from that peace instead of the panic that your head is telling you is going to be a problem if you don't take control. All right? Ask before you act. Now, if you're flight mode person, right? Run away. You're the overprocessor. If you're over planning, over preparing, pivoting to avoid discomfort, okay? I want you to try this. Get the timer out. Set the timer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't care. You just pick something, okay? Make one decision you've been avoiding. So you're going to give yourself that amount of time and make the decision. Don't aim for perfection, just progress. Let peace, not pressure, lead your outcome, my friend. And if your freeze mode is your go-to, that's the mental shutdown. I feel foggy, indecision, you get into overwhelm. I want you to try this. Name it out loud. Acknowledge it, right? I'm feeling frozen right now. And that's okay. But I'm going to take one small step anyways. Then send the email. Write the one sentence. Do a doable task. Break the freeze with action, motion. Do something, anything. Like, that's going to help get you out of freeze mode. And then once you're out of freeze mode, now you can redirect and do something that's more focused on the direction you need to go. But you got to get unstuck first. Now, if you want to rewire the thoughts that are writing your story, I want you to grab a copy of Hello Courageous, the Gal's Guide to Delight. Lost it right there. It's the Gal's Guide to Delight, Discover, and Direct Your Divine Life. That is going to help you start to flip fear with Father's truth. You can head over to hellocourageous.com and get yourself a copy. You can even get yourself a signed copy if you want, or you can go to amazon.com and get yourself a copy right there. Now, next time, we're going to dig into the heart brain. This is the feeling center. Love, identity, connection, right? All the feel-good stuffs. And if fear has ever made you a people pleaser, you want to hide your heart and protect it, question your worth, you do not want to miss this one. You have got this, my friend, and Father's got you. I want to thank you a bunch for listening or for watching. And until next time, live fearlessly free.